Welcome, dear learners, to the last part of week 8. We were discussing how climate change is connected with science fiction, and we discussed a variety of texts in the various lessons, and we also learned this that uh, science fiction, to begin with, had climate issues in the background. It did not take them up as a focal point. But after the 1970s, science fiction began to involve itself more and more into the idea of dystopian futures and climate disasters. And so there are a lot of films that we talked about, a lot of books that we talked about that were in the genre of science fiction, but they have ideas from climate fiction. So what is the relevance of science fiction? It has become a vital cultural and intellectual tool for exploring climate futures and addressing urgent ecological issues. By merging speculative storytelling with pressing climate themes, science fiction offers a unique space for discussing the impacts of climate change on society. So, by merging speculative storytelling with pressing climate themes, science fiction offers a unique space for discussing impacts of climate change on society, environment and future generations. So, it has become very important these days to take a look at climate fiction and to see these climate fiction related movies because they tell you about the social impacts of climate change, and they can predict a lot about what is going to happen in the future. They also critique current government policies. So that's why science fiction is very relevant. And this is a genre that in the current times goes beyond mere entertainment. It is both a warning and a guide, fostering climate awareness, influencing policy discussions and inspiring innovation. So it has not lost its experimental nature. It has not lost its creativity and innovative features, but it is a lot concerned with climate these days because of the looming climate threat. As discussed in another lesson when we were talking about climate activism, it is important to include climate fiction in the system of education in order to raise climate awareness. It is important to simplify complex issues and think about how climate change will impact our future lives and our day-to-day living. So, science, which is something that is supposed to be difficult and removed from our everyday concerns, should be brought into everyday education and it should be connected with climate education in schools. Climate science is often data heavy and complex, so which makes it very challenging for the layman or for the general public to understand. But when it is science fiction dealing with scientific facts, through the mode of storytelling, there is a simplification of these concepts, and scientific findings are kind of humanized and they are in engaging narratives which capture the audience's attention and imagination. Granted, there is sometimes some exaggeration, but the aim and the purpose is to talk about climate change, to start the ball rolling, to set the discussion on the idea of climate change. So, these science fiction works break down science and simplify it using creative means through creative storytelling, which makes it impactful. So, and thus only thus can change be brought about, until and unless we take it in our consciousness that some things are there that are threatening our future existence, which are going to threaten our health and our social life and all our future successes. So, unless and until that message reaches, and science fiction is able to convey this message, until that message reaches, uh, not much will be done to create an impact and to reverse the impacts of climate change. Highlighting urgency and consequences. So, there is an urgency that is created by these disaster scenes in climate fiction or in climate movies, and then the consequences also shown of uh, over dependence on technology, or uh, being obsessed with profits. So, by presenting vivid and even alarming futures affected by climate change, science fiction helps convey the urgency of addressing climate issues. Books like Margaret Atwood's Oryx and Crake and films like The Day After Tomorrow show catastrophic outcomes of environmental neglect, emphasizing the potential severity of inaction and motivating readers and viewers to take climate change seriously. So, here are some examples which have been mentioned earlier also, but as we all know that the same text can overlap into various areas of discussion. So, when we talk about Margaret Atwood's novel Oryx and Crake, again and again, uh, it has been made into a film, so that is also there, and it is part of uh, fiction, it is part of science fiction, it is part of climate fiction, it is part of dystopian fiction. So, there are multiple categories. So, there tends to be a repetition of several books. So powerful is their presence, so powerful is their impact on the public, on the readers, that there are multiple layers or dimensions to these books. So, that is why these books and films are mentioned again and again, and they say the same thing again and again, that don't let that happen, don't descend into chaos, don't lose control of your desires and your ambitions, don't go headlong into destroying nature, and don't become slaves to technology and science, otherwise the future can be very grim. And they show these scenes in these futuristic and these dystopian novels, in these science fiction works, what grim futures they are, where individual liberty and individual freedom are at stake, and nobody would want that. Nobody wants a future of slavery, nobody wants a future where one is short of food, or one is short of water, and one has to struggle to survive, and one becomes one of a member of a huge nameless population, just struggling and struggling to survive. So, nobody wants that. So, climate change, when it puts these scenes before us, it warns us that this is what might happen if we continue in the present way that we are doing, the way we are ruining our environment. Climate change fiction fosters empathy and moral responsibility. It personalizes climate impacts. Science fiction brings climate change closer to the audience by showing the direct impact on individuals, families, and communities. By depicting relatable characters facing environmental crisis, science fiction can foster empathy, making climate change more than an abstract issue. So, they personalize this impact of climate change, show how families are affected, how their relationships are affected, how communities are affected by this, and how readers are able to relate to all this. That leads to an impact, and that creates empathy and a sense of moral responsibility. So, the personal sense is established by science fiction writers in these personal stories, and that creates empathy, that creates a sense of moral responsibility in the readers. So, even when we think about our immediate environment in India, there are so many things that we know should not be there, and yet they are continuing, and we ask ourselves why. We already know that plastics are poisoning our environment, they are choking the oceans, plastics are there in the soil, they are being taken up by our plants, the toxins of these plastics are being taken up by our soil and by our drinking water, and God alone knows how much of plastic there is in our blood by now. So, why is it that we fail to take action? Does it mean that the education has not reached the whole public, or when there are governments who are placing bans on plastics? So, why is still seeing those heaps of plastics being used by sellers everywhere? Why is it so? So, we have to think when we see these climate fiction movies, and when we read this literature, we are forced to reflect, what is the reason, why do we continue in this manner? Why do we not take action? Why don't we in our individual positions refuse to use plastic? So, why do we wait for somebody else to implement it for us? Why this understanding should not come to us in a personal way? Perhaps we do not feel connected with the land. In India, we feel more connected with our households and our home front rather than the land outside. But actually, things like climate fiction, climate stories and climate movies, they do send a message that we are all part of this land, and it's not the 50 meters or 100 meters that we are connected because of our homes. It's the entire earth that we are connected with. Various philosophies, various texts, poems, they tell us to look outside, to look beyond ourselves, and this is what even science fiction is telling us. Look at your family, your community, your country, and then beyond that. And when you go beyond that, then you will be conscious that why am I only concerned about myself? And even if I am concerned about myself, I am poisoning myself. Why don't I stop these harmful practices? So, these are things that we need to reflect and try to find answers. Why do we not take steps even when our government is giving instructions, is advising us to do certain things? In small towns, the government is following these ideas of Swachh Bharat, and so it has become now mandatory to divide the garbage between the recyclable and the non-recyclable and things like that. But still, there are people who will not listen, people who will not follow that, people who will throw garbage wherever they want to. So, what is the cure for this? How do we reach such people? Can movies and entertainment empower these people, inform these people, enlighten these people? So, this is the purpose of climate fiction, to let the message reach far and wide. Ethics and future generations. So, all this that I just discussed, this is a part of our ethical responsibilities to ourselves, to humanity and to the earth, and finally to the future generations. If we cannot live up to these ethical responsibilities, then we are creating a very grim future for ourselves. So science fiction shows this, that there are ethical responsibilities, and it reminds me also of deep ecology, where the idea of self-love is not selfishness. The idea of self-love is not selfishness. So, according to Arne, self-love is something that makes you concerned about others too. When you love yourself, you are concerned about others too. He gives the example of a mother who makes sacrifices of her desires and whatever she wants to buy for herself, or if she wants to dress properly, she does not do that because she is sacrificing for the children. But he says this kind of self-sacrifice, where the mother shows a lack of self-love, gives the wrong message to the children. They feel very guilty and burdened, and as a result that impact follows them in their lives, and they make the same decisions of self-sacrifice which are not healthy. So love for the self is important. When we love ourselves, we will let our self evolve, there will be self-realization, and then one will be able to connect with the environment and the outer community. So science fiction highlights this ethical responsibility of connecting with the environment, with nature, with the community, and seeing it as a moral obligation to future generations. So it is important to love the self and to let the future generations also get this message of love. And this love is something that is very large. It is not love that is selfish. It is love which comes from loving everything around you by connecting with the environment and connecting harmoniously with your community. So stories set in climate change worlds underscore that current actions have long-term consequences, inspiring a sense of accountability towards preserving the planet for the future. So when we love ourselves, when we love the land on which we are living, when we care for it, the long-term result will be there, that we will create peace, harmony, and a preservation of the beauty of nature for the future too. But if we are disconnected, we will not be preserving the planet for the future, and we are not taking our accountability seriously. So the aim of science fiction is ethical, and it is for future generations too and for the present world too. And this ethical focus, which is self-analysis and self-realization and love for the environment, it promotes a broader and more inclusive perspective, urging audiences to consider the needs and rights of future generations and other species. So, as it is, capitalism has taught us to only think of profit and only think of everything coming to human beings and everything to be taken by human beings for granted. Whereas we live on an earth in which there are various non-human species, and they are part of that chain that supplies us material to survive. And we must think of life in totality, not in isolation as only humans. So once we have done that, that will create a feeling of self-love, of happiness, a sense of reward. So science fiction aims at these things. Encouraging scientific innovation and technological solutions, inspiring real-world technology by envisioning green technologies, renewable solutions, and sustainable living practices. Science fiction inspires real-world innovation and encourages scientists, engineers, and policymakers to think outside the box. So it's finding renewable solutions, it's finding innovations, but things that are friendly with the environment, things that will make our life sustainable. For example, the depiction of geoengineering projects in the Ministry of the Future, in the Ministry for the Future. For example, the depiction of geoengineering projects in the Ministry for the Future aligns with the current debates about whether large-scale technological inventions could help mitigate climate change. So, that is a very controversial question, and there may be many debates on it, and it is hotly debated between the environmentalists, between the deep ecologists who believe that technology cannot mitigate climate change, whereas people like Bill Gates and others, they believe that technology can help mitigate climate change. So, let us explore both the benefits and the risks of technology. Science fiction allows society to explore the potential benefits and risks of new technologies before they are implemented. So, many of the ideas of things that are functioning, of gadgets and technology that is functioning for us today, they were just ideas in stories. The same thing can be said about air travel, aeroplanes, telephones, a whole variety of scientific innovations. I remember seeing Star Wars, which is space fiction, but of course science is there, and there were those glass doors which opened at one command, and how people could be transported from one place to another. So, some of this simulation is there in these days when we go into supermarkets and we have those electronic doors opening as soon as you approach. So, things like these, little things like these may have been there in science fiction earlier, and they have been transferred to real life. Stories that feature bioengineering, geoengineering and advanced climate monitoring systems offer insights into how such technologies might work and what unintended consequences could arise. These stories encourage a balanced view, recognizing the need for technological solutions while cautioning against over-reliance on them. So, science fiction is in place when it tests these ideas and these theories, and these idea of air travel was there, visiting other planets was there, the idea of probably satellites is also there. So, there is a trial and error through ideas, and they weigh the risks and the benefits, but then it always comes with a very important warning that over dependence can lead to a lot of trouble. Influencing policy discourse and public discourse. So, policy implications and case studies through plausible climate futures, science fiction serves as a safe place for exploring potential policies, regulations and societal shifts in response to climate change. So, it is a kind of a ground where the things are thought out, things are experimented with, it is a kind of safe space, and there is no loss if there is a failure of something, but it is a wonderful medium to look at the future, and there have been so many science fiction works about, if you have read about flying saucers, about alien invasions and things like this. So, the studies in science keep going on, and the inspiration comes from these stories. Policymakers and environmental think tanks sometimes refer to science fiction narratives to illustrate complex scenarios and ethical dilemmas. So, one example is Robinson's New York 2140. For instance, depicts the government intervention in the face of rising sea levels, prompting readers to consider how policies could adapt in such situations. So, policy making, public discourse, how the public responds, how governments respond, what are the measures that could be taken to sort of mitigate climate change. All these things are experimented with in a trial and error basis, and when the ideas come out very strong, they are taken up by science. So, we live in a very fluid kind of world where literature has inspired even psychology. So, literature also inspires climate, and literature also inspires science fiction. So, it's quite interesting that a novelist like Dostoevsky, when he wrote The Idiot, and when he talked about dual personalities and schizophrenia, it was not there in the psychiatric studies, but it became adopted as a case study by Freud later on. So, this is so interesting. In the same way, when literature has case studies, about certain climate impacts, so these things are influencing the government policies also, and the needs of the scientific work. Scientific work also has to work in accordance to those case studies and what is happening. So, it's all interconnected. Climate fiction is very important, and the connection between literature and climate, between literature and science, is a very significant and a very important one that we cannot do without. And as we have said in other lessons and in other weeks, that if we have to mitigate the impacts of climate change, we need to study literature in its various genres, especially science fiction and climate fiction. We will stop here and we will meet in another lesson. Thank you.